Yep. Mm-hmm. That's right. That's right. That's right. It's Thursday. I think, right? Yes. Oh man, days of the week for me recently have been a tough sell. Good morning, guys. Welcome back to the stream. Welcome back to the VOD. Lobster, congratulations on being first, bro. What's up, guys? Good morning, dude. Good morning, Sir Shadow Mole. Good morning, Cookiemon Steve. Good morning, Cal. What's up, bro? Thorkin, dude, and Kitty. What's up? Good morning. Good morning, guys. Good morning, YouTube. YouTube belongs in here too. What do you mean? What do you mean, man? Good morning, Brooklyn. What's up, bro? Yes, it is Thursday. It is International D&D Day. That's right, the day that everybody plays D&D. So if you are not playing D&D today, you better fix your shit and get in a D&D game ASAP. All right? ASAP. I myself am not in a D&D game today because I am still taking a bit of a break from my game with Ashy, Ulner, and Vixie and Yuki because I am busy. So there it is, man. But I really want to get back into it, man. God, I want to play D&D again. Man, I need to do some like I want to do. Okay, hold on. Hear me out here. I have had a weird craving. I don't know why over the last little while to do a Star Wars Saga Edition D&D game. I don't know why. I wish I knew. I wish I understood where this came from, this desire. But I really, really want to do a Star Wars D&D game with Ella and Dashto and see who else wants to. Yeah, I don't know, man. Is that weird? Is it weird that I haven't played D&D in a while and the first D&D I want back is Star Wars D&D, not even Eldara? I think it's just because it's been like maybe 6 years, I think, since we played. No, 5 years. Actually, wait. It's been like 6 or 7 years since we played Star Wars D&D. I think it might have been. So maybe that's what it is. Play Wednesday nights. Sometimes we go past midnight. Does it count? As long as on Thursday night, on Thursday sometime during the day, you are playing D&D. So yes, if you play early morning Thursday D&D, that's unorthodox, Kitty, but it is entirely reasonable. And I thank you for your contribution to Thursday night D&D day. So there's that, I guess. You know, I suppose there's Critical Role. You know, Critical Role. You can watch Critical Role instead of playing D&D. You play D&D with yourself. Honestly, I've been thinking about looking at one of these like one for FP TRPG or whatever. You know, I want to try it. I know Cobalt knows about that. But like I've been seeing stuff about like journaling D&D games and stuff, like single player journaling D&D games. Now that seems a little sad and a little lonely to me. It just seems like a world building exercise. I wouldn't call it a game. If you're gonna call it your game, that's a little weird, man. But if it's just world building, that's great. I don't know. Maybe I'm missing something about it because I don't know much about it. But the single player games seem kind of interesting, you know, because there's actually a system behind it. So maybe I'll try one of those because I kind of want to develop one. I don't know. I really, really want to develop a single player narrative experience for Eldara. I don't know why. It's just been in the back of my brain for God knows how long. Went to eat my grandma's yesterday. Entire family got food poisoning. 0 out of 10. Would not recommend. Whew. Thorkin. Sorry to hear about that, buddy. Man. Man, that sucks because that's grandma's cooking, so you can't say no to grandma's cooking. I can because my grandma's like 94 or some shit. I don't think she's cooking anytime soon. But that sucks, bro. I'm sorry, man, because you know next time you're gonna go back over there, you're gonna have to go into the thick of it again. That's my main fear when I cook for people. Is like I'm always like worried that that'll be bad, obviously. But if we have family over something, I'm always just like, okay, oh god, food poisoning. Because one year, Ella and we had gotten our turkey for Christmas dinner. All right. We got our turkey for Christmas dinner. We got a very fancy turkey from a farm nearby, local, whatever. Phenomenal. Okay? Ella and I have the turkey. We pick it up on like December 22nd or something. It's supposed to be good till like January 3rd because it's fresh, whatever, wasn't frozen. Have it in there. We open it up on Christmas Day, and the motherfucker is rotten. And we're like, shit. And it like you weren't sure. And I did some investigating, and yeah, that thing was not good. So we ended up having McDonald's ordered to our house on Christmas Day. And you know what? That's kind of lit. Like, honestly, not cooking on Christmas and just having food delivered is like I'm a big believer in the Christmas meal, okay? And you or Thanksgiving or Easter holiday meals. I like cooking, the act of cooking and the act of doing all that stuff. There's something pretty good about it. So I'm always afraid that I'll like get a spoiled turkey or something like that and cook for my family. So that's horrifying, especially because you know you're gonna have to go back to her house and eat once more. So I'm not playing D&D today. Tomorrow evening, yes, Pathfinder on Saturday. Steve, we gotta fix that. We gotta get Steve into a game, man. What's up, Cass? What's up, Emerald Heart? Good to see you guys. Why is my YouTube chat showing your app tags now and not your names? That's weird. You know what? I'm not gonna think about it too hard because, oh god, mute tab. There we go. Because yeah, even on YouTube, that's so weird, man. Well, it's always something every day with some stream, you know? Good morning, Atari. Rotten turkey on Christmas is crazy. It is because it was supposed to be good. It's not like we even thought it out like early or whatever. So I'm always scared of like, you know, that happening, like making food for the famine and giving somebody a little bit of food poisoning or something, you know? So I don't know. I know it's not just your stream though. Really? Yeah, because like before I took before I decided to get COVID for 3 weeks, would not recommend. I hope I don't sound sick anymore because I still feel sick. But before I decided to get COVID, apparently, everything was working fine, and then I come back, and now things don't work. Why? Don't worry about it, I guess. Noticed yesterday another stream. Really? That's weird. I don't usually watch a lot of streams on YouTube, so I don't really ever see it. Or yeah. The only stream I really watch on YouTube. Well, no, I don't really watch any streams on YouTube. I don't know, man. Voluntary COVID. I know, dude. It was. Oh my god. I don't know how I got it. Ella didn't catch it. I was scuttling. I was a scuttling boy. Just avoiding her like Gopnik avoid healthy food and responsibility. Man, yeah, what's up then? Lyra, thank you for the follow. Welcome in, dude. Good to have you. Honored to have you even. Yeah, so I don't know. I don't know what happened with my YouTube. It's messed up. Came back from being sick as shit, hadn't streamed in 2 weeks, and things don't work, but that's kind of the way, the go-to it is. So, okay, today we got a big list of things to do. Today's a productivity day. Today's an old school stream day. Today is an old school stream day, the kind we haven't had in a long time. Deep world building, old stories, ancient reliquary items be placed in vaulted manors and keeps. Lore worthy of the tomes of the great kings of Novalia. Carvings upon the thrones of the Hammer Lords of Northmark. Today, we are doing an old school world building concept art stream because on Coffee, I have had a number of people be so generous as to support a sponsored project. Sabine sponsoring the Azael, the mighty merfolk from the Shattered Sea, ancient guardians of the depths of the inner sea, displaced by arcane disaster, reclaiming their homes beneath the tides in now their floating kingdoms of lakes shimmering in the sky. But that project's almost done. Azalea sponsored the Rokari, a mighty and proud, yet secluded group of fox kin, those who, in the ancient days of the Eldari and the proto-elves, wandered the lands and came across the wild gods. Their bodies took to the magic of the fox god, sprouting ears and features of a vulpine nature. That's another project. But today, I have a special need for something. I have a special need to do a little work on a very important organization called the Alabaster Consortium. You see, long ago, when the ancient shattered sea sundered, when the Aldarian people reached for divinity and grabbed a hold of their destiny, their hubris thought that they had harnessed the reins of power, but in fact, they'd only grappled upon the ledge of destruction. They fell from grace, destroyed their entire kingdom. The same arcane catastrophe that wiped out the Azael, for the most part anyway. The sea was sundered. The kingdom of the Aldarians was gone. The most prolific and proficient magic casters, spell crafters, weavers of the arcane were gone in an instant, erased from history. But as we have all learned for every story that has ever meant anything to us, the key theme was the power of the human spirit, for it will go on. We will carry on. Aldarians and others alike began to slowly come back to the Shattered Sea. And after a few generations, settlers, pioneers even, and reclaimers found themselves in this arcane enchanted land where chunks of the old world rose high above the clouds in this crater. An ocean of dazzling, shimmering shards of arcane crystallized into sky shards, flanked by the great ravines and canyons bored deep into the earth. Below, a dark sea of cloud swirls beneath, with forgotten peoples, ancient wonders, and the occasional hideaway from prying eyes deep beneath the clouds. But don't go too deep, lest ye find thyself at the dark wall that is known as the Abyss. But high above the Abyss in the Shattered Sea, cities, farmlands, large swaths of land floating about the sky. People moved back onto them, adapted with their new flight requiring lifestyles. They harnessed the energies of the sky shards and collapsed its great power into their ships of the sea, allowing them to sail through the sky and onto the stars. They tamed ancient beasts of flight and some creatures that were previously inhabitants of the ocean, the sea that the Shattered Sea used to be, that have adapted to their new circumstances, able to fly, large whales, pockets of jellyfish, and all sorts of former sea life, able to glide through the clouds from one body of floating water to another. That's right. The people of Shattered Sea reclaimed their home. And in the reclamation, a new order, a struggle for power as guilds, mercenaries, and all sorts of wonder seekers found themselves in the Shattered Sea vying for supremacy. Small townships contained baronies of vapid nobles claiming large swaths of land for their own. Guilds and trade consortiums using the new trade route expediently from the west to the east now through the sky. Oh, the Shattered Sea became quite the place to see in almost no time. But wherever there is power to be gained, there are those who would see it exploited for their own vicious and pernicious endeavors. A small group of people one day were approached by a modest-looking boat. They thought merchants, traders, the usual. They welcomed the outsiders to their small pier, their modest pier at their middle of the sea island town. But these travelers were cloaked in ornate garb. White robes, hoods, where the light seems to disappear just before it makes out a feature. Vestments unraveled with gilded jewels, chains and censers, spewing a miasma that falls to the ground like hope itself is being evaporated in their footsteps. This is, in fact, the first time that anyone encountered the Alabaster Consortium. Now, depending on who you ask, legends will say very different things about the Consortium. But in a very short time, the Consortium became a trade guild, unlike any other. They represent a large power within the Shattered Sea in the current day, as they are one of the 13 most powerful and influential groups, organizations, or individuals in the Shattered Sea allowed to sit upon the council at Grand Crest. You see, the Shattered Sea was not a conquered land. It was not an ancient monarchy. It was people coming to this broken piece of the world to start anew. And so the powers that be wrestled with each other until peace was found in the form of a representative council. As they would say, a democracy. What a word. What a word. As they masquerade in their Senate, representing the various peoples of the Shattered Sea. Oh, I'm sure they feel very accomplished upon their high seats in the grand towers of the Senatorium. But you see above the squabbling bureaucrats, representatives, and nobles. Some, I will say, elected democratically, a township sending their representative to the Senate to represent their interests, a trade guild that owns multiple islands sending their delegation, or perhaps the son of a noble who owns a very large island. However each island chooses to organize itself, their representatives will peacefully assemble in the Senate. But is their power really tangible? Do they really make any serious decisions within the Senate? They might bicker and argue on policy and matters of security and safety in their society. But above in a dimly lit chamber, sit the 13. The 13 who represent the council, who oversees the Senate, who approves or disapproves of the Senate's actions. The council, you see, is a ceremonial power, a guardrail against the populism threat. They are there to veto anything that does not have the best interests of the Shattered Sea in mind. However, the only way to access a seat upon the council is to be one of the 13 largest land, wealth, and value power holders. Upon the council, many large trade guilds have a seat. Guilds that would span fleets of merchant ships trading wares across the world. Even one seat is occupied by a noble family, an ancient Lorik noble family from Stonemark, who during the collapse of the Stonemark Empire, the Lorik Empire, they managed to keep their land and retain their power in the Shattered Sea from the expansion. How they did that? Well, if you ask the other Lorik nobles that willingly gave back their power to their people, they would have a very different story to tell. But others on the council, large holders of land, representatives from different parts of the world with interest in the Shattered Sea. The council room is dim. It is kept that way for ceremony, lit by candles. A large gold chandelier sits above the table. This ancient piece of wood, a full trunk of a massive tree said to have grown in the courts of the Aldarian Empire, survived the cataclysm and is now used here as a ceremonial representative of the old. Upon the table rests plans and machinations, books and notes, maps and gilded goblets with more expensive wine than some entire towns could afford in generations of work. Interestingly enough, though, as the nobles debate upon whether or not they are going to allow democracy to take charge, or if they are going to manipulate and pull upon the strings like the Senate, marionetted by them above. Well, the light on the far side of the room from the stairwell leading up seems to disappear a little bit. A darkness that is indescribable with no real cause. But upon a high, ornately Gothic spired throne of hard wood, iron rivets, spines and spikes weaving themselves up like a dark cathedral, sitting over a figure known as the Arbiter. A figure that sits at the head of the Alabaster Consortium. You see, the Consortium has transcended their trade guild and become representatives of the light. That's right. They think of themselves as a church of sorts. Rescuers of the poor and the downtrodden. You see, anyone in the Shattered Sea who is in need of aid can request it from the Alabaster Consortium, and they are always willing to oblige. You see, they command tremendous wealth. In fact, many would rumor that they are of the wealthiest of the 13, that it is unknown to what assets and powers they hold. And many towns who find themselves at the mercy of pirates, tormenting them, raiders, or perhaps an unfortunate disaster, some sort of disease outbreak, abyssals wandering up, slithering from the deep clouds, all their way up, 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 ever upward to the inhabitants. Whatever the reason, there are people who are desperate enough to contact the Alabaster Consortium. And even those who aren't, strangely, the Consortium finds themselves presenting their assistance and aid to those who need it the most. And all you need to do to solve whatever financial, military, economic, or latitudinal issues, all you have to do is just embrace the Consortium. Become a parish of their Grand Cathedral in Grandcrest. All they ask is that a small chapel, modest, be built somewhere of central importance in the town. A parish master, a priest, will soon descend upon the town. Ghostly in form, faceless, veiled, spired, gilded, with thralls pulling them along, a great procession through the town. And, of course, with every good parish, it is an unfortunate necessity, in order to save the masses, a tithe must be paid. And this tithe can be paid in sky shards, gold, or for those who find themselves without any wealth, once a month when they come to collect their tithe, if there is no gold or sky shards to be paid, they will simply just request you offer up one of your own. Of course, that person will be taken very good care of. They will go to serve the Consortium in Grandcrest, working as a noble scribe or a monk of sorts, a position of dignity and honor. It is unfortunate that none of these chosen are ever heard of or from again. Now, suspicions are, well, it's a poorly kept secret that the thralls that do the majority of the laborious work, these soul-sucked creatures that looked like they were once humans, are the result of these offerings. But, as it is said, desperate people will do immeasurable dark acts to protect themselves and preserve their families. So, even if this is a secret in the open, people will still accept the Consortium into their towns, into their villages, onto their islands. Although recently, in the Shattered Sea, the Consortium has been making moves. You see, the Paladin Orders, the Aldarian Sky Knights, and the noble class, including Lady Luna Aerolace, Jesus Christ. Upon playing the Horizon adventure, will tell you as much that the Alabaster Consortium has been making moves. That they are taking a little more power than you'd think that they would openly grab for. And why does the rest of the 13 allow this? Well, it is said that debts are the ultimate chains and shackles of society. That the fetters and the pillories that the other 12 of 13 find themselves in is, in fact, a great debt to the Alabaster Consortium. So, it is an open evil, unfortunately. But, to be fair, the Consortium has always been modest in their approach. Though recently, they have been making more bold moves. They've never used force to take an island. At least, not before the recent memory. More guarded thralls and brutes carrying large maces of stonework and brass accompany the parish masters. And so, they present themselves as now an open threat in the Shattered Sea. Still, though, no one will do anything about them, because as I said, many who make policy, many of the Senate and many of the 13, owe a great debt to the Consortium in one way or another. So, today, that is the project. That's what we need to get done. We need to do some concept work for the Consortium. That is the next sort of thing for the Eldara Horizon adventure, as well as Cobalt does have a project that he has sponsored. So I hope to finish Cobalt and Sabine and Azalea's projects pretty quick here, and then we'll see who's next up on the list. I think that Steve is actually next up on the list for sponsored projects. So it's gonna be a fun month. But I also do have. So I will say, I had a meeting yesterday. Went very well. Was for a big project. I think things got very serious and very real very quickly. So I don't know how much I can talk about it. I have to look over some contracts and things like that and figure out what I can. But it's a substantial project that is going to be for the next 2 months. So I might be dropping my stream if I have to. My stream days down to 4 a week in order to prioritize that. If I can't work on it on stream, obviously, big projects that aren't personal projects for people might demand some level of secrecy and discretion. But that's a big thing that's going to be very exciting when it comes out. And holy shit, 2026 is going to be a fucking massive year for EEEVIL Art. So I have that I have to get done. But besides that, the Consortium is sort of next up on the list. And then we're going to do some trading card stuff today. And I need to update my art station. And we got to print some pages, which that just finished printing. It's going to be a busy day. There's a lot of things to do, but it's going to be a lot of fun because we haven't done some deep concept work in a while. And I think that we should get into it. So I have some old concepts for the Alabaster Consortium. I had a piece here that was a page of designs of various sort of parish masters and priests and things like that got lost. I don't know how yeah, this is a chunk of it. Oh, yeah. So I'm not sure how you know what happened? I accidentally cropped it. So remember what I said? Don't ever do what I do when it comes to cropping and recording things. This is why, because you do shit like this and you end up deleting all of your work. So lost a lot of the concept development stuff for them, but that's okay because we'll do a better job. Oh my god, even the listening for the Goblin Monkey. Damn it. Oh man. Oh man. I'm so distraught over this. I still had some art saved, but I wanted to make a whole thing out of it anyway. We'll figure it out. It's fine. So yeah, gotta do some concept development for the Alabaster Consortium. I want to do a big title image of them as well as some concept pieces. So I think that what would we need for a good amount of let's just say the adequate amount of required visuals for players and DMs who are going to run the consortium. A page maybe of art, of concepts. What would we want on there? I'm thinking something in the realm of, let's make a list for this actually real quick. Ooh, that's a bit of a big list actually. I don't know about that. That's, ooh. Let's go with our... Now, the thing is, never, ever, ever, unfortunately, try and do any word processing in Photoshop, but that is where we are at. So, consortium, let's just say, what are we going to call it? Consortium work order. We're going to send this to our artist, and he's going to have to do all the work for us. So, what would we want? We want, so most importantly, some sort of title illustration that has them kind of like doing stuff, right? Right. Flags and symbols. Flags. Or flags / heraldry. Then we need, so in the Horizon Adventure, we have thralls. The thing is with Photoshop is that there's a lag to it, and sometimes it just doesn't show, like it just skips letters or whatever. So it's really annoying to do this. And I know there's a fix, but the problem is the fix involves being on a Mac. So thralls, priests, brutes. Those are the three main individuals that one has to encounter in the Horizon Adventure. You can also go onto one of their ships. So I kind of want to do a shrine and maybe bonus the sledge / thralls working their way through the town. Weapons and other instruments. I feel like we can demonstrate or describe most of those by just showing them on the thralls and brutes, you know. Guy with a cathedral as a headdress. Yeah. I mean that would be a good idea also to have some of their buildings and interiors, or at least interior of the scary church building or cathedral, monastery, wherever, however they're going to order it. The entire idea of constructing themselves like a religion is just adding to the creepy factor. And I think that'd be pretty good for a sponsored project, you know? Well, below deck on the ship, that's what I'm thinking as a shrine, because the important part of the shrine or of the below deck is the kind of the scary, spooky shrine you find. So that's why, rather than avoiding doing an entire sort of like 360 kind of room scene of below deck of the ship, obviously unimaginable horrors, Iron Maidens and creepy whatever things and chains and all that kind of stuff. But then at the far end of that below deck is going to be that shrine that I think is kind of the important feature there. The Voidlings, that's a good idea actually. Yeah. Let's put that below the brutes, because those are our dudes. The Voidlings. Okay. I think that'd probably be a good page. Now the main illustration. So the parish masters and priests are going to be, we've got a bunch of designs for them already, but maybe we can finalize that first and then get into some of the spookier like thralls and brutes and stuff like that. So I want them to be very grim, very, very gothic, very spooky. I have been told that they are a bit dark, the Alabaster Consortium, for what a lot of people like in D&D fantasy, and I'm okay with that. I am okay with the Alabaster Consortium being a little dark fantasy, you know, because I don't know how you guys feel about this, and I'm actually curious. Do you guys get the impression that fantasy nerds, like for the D&D like side of things, don't like dark fantasy? Like real dark fantasy? You know, because I've been thinking about this for a while. I think the D&D nerds like the idea of it, but I don't think they actually want dark fantasy. You know, that there's like a miscalibration of communicated desire with actual interaction. Because when I think of like dark fantasy, I'm thinking of do you want dark fantasy like the Diablo 4 release or announcement trailer? Or is that too dark for your dark fantasy? Right? And it's like a lot of people in theory are like, oh yeah, the darker the better, man. I want dark fantasy, bro. I love dark fantasy. It's so dark and fantasy. But then as soon as you just like describe, you know, something like for instance, one of the things that I've gotten the most pushback on for people being like, ugh, God, what the fuck, man? I don't like that, is when I talk about the thralls just like dragging this sledge forward as they have sort of chains and hooks like ripped into their flesh and wrapped around their collarbones as they're just hoveling forward. The ones in front with their hands nailed into their eye sockets, just groaning as they sort of roll forward, and the other ones with the incense swings ironclad and wrapped around and riveted to their clasped hands, groaning in pain as this priest floats behind them. That's people like, oh my God, my safe word, peanut butter pineapple. Ah, shit, I don't like it. But then, of course, it's the same people that you ask, you're like, hey, do you like dark fantasy? And they're like, oh yeah, I love dark fantasy, bro. So I wonder if it's like, you know, worth investigating what people actually want, you know? I think it's shown how no one wants to accept their character dying. That's true, Kitty. That's a good point, actually. You know, it's the same kind of thing in D&D where I think a lot of people, well, I have a bit of a hot take on this. I think you give players what they need and not what they want. I think if you ask people what they want, they'll never give you an honest answer. But I think you can easily give people what they need, right? Which some people will say, oh, that's so arrogant. Listen to your players. Why do you think you know better than what somebody wants? Because I think that people don't know what they want, and they want creatives to show them something that they didn't know they wanted. And, you know, it's like no one can resist the temptation of creative mode in Minecraft, right? But what really matters is what they need is the feeling of accomplishment you get from the challenge of building a base and survival. That applies to, I think, all sorts of games, you know? And so a lot of players will say like, oh, don't touch a pretty little hair on my pretty little character's head. And that's fine in theory, but the problem is then nobody actually feels accomplished when they finish their story. No one feels like they won the game when they overcome challenges. So at that point in time, the game becomes performative and useless. And that's why the degradation of the role of mechanics, I think, has happened in D&D. So yeah, I think that is part of it. You know, people will complain and whine about the presence or the lack of something, but the problem is they will interact or not with something that does what they need and not what they want. The example I would use is World of Warcraft, let's just say. Something I've been thinking about for a long time here. Transmog. People would say they want to transmog. And if you're not sure, if you're familiar with this, not familiar with the terms I'm using here, basically in World of Warcraft, you have different gear you can acquire, shoulders and gauntlets and swords and stuff. And you get these pieces of gear and you level up and you get better gear as you go, and it makes you more powerful. What transmog is, it's a system that allows you to change the appearance of any of your gear to look like any other piece of gear. And so it is sold as this system where you get to be expressive and show off what you want and, you know, be the person that you want to be and make butterfly wings and spiky hats and whatever you want, man. You can look however you want. And people would say, this is what I want. God, I want this. Oh man, I want this. And you're not giving it to me. You guys don't listen to your players and you're awful. And so they give the people what they want for multiple reasons. One, because they listen to their players, tell them what they want. And the other, so they can sell them, you know, outfits and cosmetic gear. There's that too. It happens in MMOs. But the result is people have this nostalgic idea of, remember when your gear meant something? When you saw somebody rocking those pauldrons in town, you knew they were a badass, and so you wanted to go get the same pauldrons so you could be a badass. Remember when you saw the dude with the sword on the Ironforge bridge for the first time and you're like, oh my God, and that made you want to raid, and that built meaning into the entire activity of raiding 3 days a week? And then without that, you just don't feel like you just kind of sigh and say like, I don't know what it is, but I'm not enjoying the game as much anymore. And you just sort of drift away. I think that kind of drift into apathy is the result of giving people what they need and not what they want. So I'm very cautious of when people say they want something in a game, because whatever reasoning they have, you have to separate actual reasons from like just kind of like, you know, more vapid reasons. And so I wonder if things like dark fantasy, like you're saying, Kitty, like stakes in a D&D game, if these are things that people actually would like or not, you know? Taking a shot at Dark Fathom this weekend. When I looked up dark fantasy tropes, I was like, whoa. Yeah. Well, WotC has even veered away from a lot of dark fantasy. Like there were some, like, I don't know if I would consider, and to be fair, I have not played the 5th edition version. I don't know if I would consider Curse of Strahd to be dark fantasy. I don't know. It seems spooky, but I don't know if I'd consider it as dark as something like Dark Sun, right? As a setting. And I think that's really interesting because I think that dark fantasy like Diablo, like Warhammer, the idea of the grim dark is why is this good, in my opinion? I think because grim dark fantasy and storytelling and settings, I think that it is appealing because it will showcase, the darker the setting and the darker the story, the greater the showcase of the light is, like kind of the TLDR. And I think that we've seen that in a lot of, like, if you look at a lot of very famous literature, like the old Russian authors and shit like that, I think you'll find that. So I think that it's the kind of thing, it's like I think you have to push the dark fantasy further than people will say they want, but not so far that they don't interact. Once in a while, I think it's okay if like if the villain makes you kind of like squirm in your chair a little bit. You're like, oh god, oh man, it's so creepy or whatever, because there's that feeling that you kind of get that rush of adrenaline and whatnot. So I think that I kind of want to err on the side of making the Alabaster Consortium a little darker, a little more grim than you know, people might say they want or whatever. But I'm curious. I don't know. I'm curious how people receive it. Level 0 note or one shots are usually the most fun games I run when someone might die because they failed a simple puzzle. Exactly, dude. Exactly. They don't say they want that, but they sure as hell are happy they had it. So it's more gothic fantasy. Yeah. But I think, yeah, it's safe dark fantasy, kind of more gothic. I think that people get the illusion that it's gothic or the dark fantasy, and they'll say like, ooh, I like dark fantasy. But there's not really much that's kind of that dark about it. Like, isn't Strahd kind of like, now, to be fair, the last time I engaged or interacted with Strahd as a character was in the old like 3.5 Ravenloft stuff, I think. I can't remember all that well. It's been a while. But I remember it being kind of dark, you know? Like bleeding people out on upside down, you know, like X's, like what do you call when someone was like chained up or whatever? There's a word for it, that medieval torture device, you know, into gilded goblets and shit or whatever.
I think the best
true
villains are objectively unsettling. Also,
sure.
Peru Major.
All right. This better be a dark fantasy villain, Aduria. We're rating this today on its ability to be a dark fantasy villain. The Great Tit. As a villain, 10 out of 10. As a dark fantasy villain, I'm sorry, man. This is not your strongest entry. Probably like a 3.5. But as a birdie boy, I'd rate it a good 6 point great tit out of 10. So thank you for the meta entry for the day. 10 out of 10, no notes? What do you mean no notes? As someone terrified of spooky movies and games and playing Curse of Strahd now, cool vibes but pretty safe feeling still. Sure, yeah, and like I don't like horror as a genre, Sabine. I don't like it because I don't like. I think that Aduria is right about they're supposed to be a little objectively like a little unsettling, but I don't like slasher and gore. I have a line that I draw where I think, and now I understand people. This is one of those things. It's like people disagree with me and will tell me I'm wrong about, and I still am convinced that I'm right. I think, in my opinion, that the line of gratuity is a lazy line to cross. When you cross the line into gratuity, that is gratuitousness, that is a lazy way out. It's low hanging. So I think that whether that's gratuitous violence, gratuitous like sex or you know, gore or anything like that, when you cross the line into something being like fully gratuitous, I think that it's lazy. I think that the most profound sort of like legendary kind of horror experiences are often ones that are more left into the mind. And I think this is the painter's skill. You see, painters, we don't paint what we see, we paint just enough. Good painters anyway. I shouldn't say we because I'm not a good painter, but we as painters strive to not paint what we see, but to paint enough that the brain fills in the rest, and not too much and not too little. Right? It's very, very difficult to do. Like, real painters are very, very good at this. And I think the same thing's true with narrative and storytelling. So I think that the steamiest of romance scenes are best left with the curtain drawn. Right? And that once you get into your ACOTAR, your hentai, or whatever, it's just sort of like self-serving, gratuitous, whatever. It's just junk food. And that's fine if you want to eat junk food once in a while. Hey man, we all go for a fucking feastable once in a while. If you want to read your smut or watch your hentai, like, I'm not going to judge you as a person. It's fine, man. You want to watch your gratuitous, violent fucking 300 movie, like, that's totally fine. But I do think that it's lazy. I think it's lazy if you're trying to do something that is the most effective storytelling. And people fucking jump down my throat around this, but I keep seeing it being proven right over and over and over again. So for that dark fantasy thing, I think that dark fantasy is great because it does not necessarily cross the line into horror, right? But it evokes a more powerful response of overcoming the darkness, right? That's why a lot of people like spooky, but they don't like horror as a genre, right? Bart is currently making fun of Strahd as one of those depressed guys who peaked in high school and whines in his diary. Oh man, you stole his diary? Bro, he puts his Call of Duty friends list in there. Bro, that's not cool, man. How's he gonna find his homies when he forgets his Xbox Live password? I would turn itself inside out and then would become a great dark fantasy villain. That'd be pretty good, you know. Tried to take my character to go with him because she was born in his land, but he wouldn't step in a church to come get her. What a wuss. What a wuss. He wouldn't desecrate the ground. Piece of shit. Yeah, no, I remember Strahd. Strahd is kind of this like comical character now. Like, I never hear people or DMs refer to Strahd as a villain, like a real good villain, like I mean an imposing villain. It's always like a meme about stealing Strahd's diary, or like, oh, my character romance Strahd, or like, oh, we like made fun of Strahd and then embarrassed him in front of his like vampire friends or whatever. Like, nobody ever is like, man, Strahd in our game is like a fucking terrifying dude. Like, I've never, like, people don't say it like that. So I wonder if that's more of a D&D player in the modern age thing is the reason why, or if it's more of a Strahd is written like that. Because as I recall, and I could be completely fucking wrong in this, but like decades ago when I was like reading original Ravenloft shit and Strahd was like first sort of like brought in as a villain, he was a dark fucking dude and like terrifying. He was like the monster, you know, like he was fucking eating people and shit, and you know, like just sacrificing and hunting people for sport and stuff. Like he was a terrifying guy, and now he's more of a meme. Like Strahd is a meme now, I think, which is fine as a villain, especially within the greater D&D player context. It's fine to have sort of mimetic relationships with common experiences, like if you in your game handled Strahd one way, another person handled Strahd in their game in a different way, then there's some fun describing like of, hey, what did you do with this, or how'd you do that, or oh, our Strahd was like, you know, we made fun of him and found baby pictures that his hot vampire mom left, and then the cleric banged his dad, and then whatever. It's like it's this whole like meme, and that's fine, I think, but it doesn't feel like there's like a missing hole in D&D for dark fantasy. People will often reference Curse of Strahd as being that, like, ooh, what do you mean D&D doesn't have dark fantasy? There's Curse of Strahd. And I always kind of wonder, I'm like, do you really believe that? I don't know. I kind of feel like it's not, but I could be wrong, There's a player in the modern year issue. Really? Holy shit. I was choking on the water, not the COVID. Avail, what's up, dude? How you doing, Avail? What's up, bro? I missed chilling. I haven't caught any of your streams in a while. I haven't seen you online when I'm maybe I'm going to bed too early. I don't know, but I've missed you, Avail. It's been a minute, so it's good to see you. But yeah, it could be a modern player issue, I think, more so than anything else. Probably anyway is. Yeah, I don't know. So the Alabaster Consortium and the Bjordovich Paladin Order, and there's a couple of other like things within the lower sea Dark Fathom that's going to be a little more of, I think, a little more dark fantasy. So I want to do some sketching of some ghostly boys, and we're gonna start at the top and start just doing some creepy boy sketching and just seeing where we get, seeing what we can use for whatever. Because sometimes I think that it's like, okay, now we're going to draw the thralls, now we're going to draw the whatever. But sometimes I think that it's better to just sort of like just kind of like draw things that fit within in the category of what you're trying to do, and it kind of feels like it's a little more abstract, but you get better ideas out of it. Okay, I need to find some, I think, need to find some references for some vestments. We're gonna look like at ornate Byzantine priestly garb and kind of high pontific patterns and symbols, and obviously we're not going to be like too close to anything real world, because I think that's not classy. But we're going to use a lot of that very ornate, beautiful sort of like symbols and stuff to kind of like add a compelling contrast to the darkness, the faceless hoods, things like that. So maybe we'll just start with the ghostly part and then add the fancy part to it later. we could try with that. That might be better. So there's going to be kind of like two main sort of like classes of Alabaster Consortium servants. There's going to be the fancy like forward-facing ones, and also the like spooky like ghosty boys that are more like kind of tattered and torn and reapery and stuff like that. So we'll see if we can kind of blend in some of that and work on some of those, both of those a little bit. Maybe collect some from both columns a little bit anyway. Big fancy robes and like chains and stuff. I want there to be a very like kind of like chains are going to be a symbol that we repeat a lot with them. Shackles and various fetters of the spiritual and physical kind. And when the consortium, like whenever you do see like what would be flesh on the consortium members, it's always like these like gross gnarly bandages. And I want them to kind of hold things weird, by the way. I want them to hold so there's something unsettling about like not being able to quite move your hands properly. So we're gonna have to try and do something that's kind of like Voldemort, when he held his wand all fucking weird and shit in Harry Potter. There's something about that where it's kind of like undead. They like don't quite work properly. They're not like dexterous. Their arms might bend in like a weird way. Their wrists will be like hyperextended and shit like that. and they don't quite like hold and grasp things properly. But I need to do that and balance the creepiness of that with it not looking like I just don't know how to draw. Right? Because if you're drawing like Voldemort holding his wand and shit, you know, you'd be like, oh, okay, what's the likelihood this person just doesn't know how a hand looks when it's like gripping something or whatever? Like, it's supposed to be very unnatural. I want it to look kind of very unnatural. So I want them kind of to be holding things out like lanterns and stuff, like kind of, you know, with like gnarled hands and stuff. So maybe we'll do that if we exaggerate sort of the bendiness of it. Right? Then there's like at least that kind of idea of like, yes, I do know how hands work. It's just like an intentional, you know, you know what I mean? Something like that. What's up, Eric? Is art still relevant here? Unfortunately, it is. I'm still trying day by day to become a real artist. One day it might happen if I try my best. I'm gonna become a real artist, but until that day hits, art will be very relevant. So, not the Voldemort wand holding. Yeah. Maybe look at extreme cases of arthritis for reference. That's a good idea, actually. That's a good idea. We'll add that to the fucking research stack. That's a phenomenal idea, actually. I like that. That's good shit. That's a good reference. Ads are endless in here, dude. Tell me about it. Fucking tell me about it. Twitch is tough if you don't have turbo, man. I'll admit it. If you're not sub to a streamer, if you don't have turbo, it is tough. It's tough going these days. But there's unfortunately nothing I can do about the ads unless I wanted to completely unaffiliate my channel. And unless that were the case, well, there's unfortunately nothing I can do about the ads. So, wish I could. All right. So lanterns and sensors are going to be very kind of like important sort of like features for these guys. Lancers, sensors, and scepters. So we can give them some kind of like a spiked kind of like super gross looking, dangerous, gothic, almost like a weapon. Like they're like almost like maces or something. And everything's going to be like chains. And I want them to actually have chains sort of floating around them. Definitely, as well as like these guys. Like this class of Ghosty Boy is definitely going to be more on the shackled side of things as opposed to just the like gilded, beautiful vestments. So basically the idea, like if we're talking to concept artists here, if we're like doing an artist brief or whatever, what I would tell our artists is we want to make the fancy front facing consortium guys look performative, almost like ghosts that are trying to make what they think would be like a noble sort of like, you know, churchly kind of vestment, like that, like they're attempting to sort of capture beauty and light. But like the light is going to be like very acidic and gross, and like the, you know, the garb will be ostentatious and unsettling, completely uncanny. And that's going to be kind of the vibe for a lot of these guys. Anyway, yo, Eric, thank you for the follow. I appreciate that. Thank you, my friend. And Zeta, thank you, both of you guys, for the follows. Welcome in. Welcome to the guild, my friends. All right. Things like kind of fancy trims and embroidery as well, mixed in with that kind of almost like rippling sort of like texture material is going to be a big thing for these guys, I feel like. So we're starting with the more like spooky class of Ghosty Boy for the consortium, because I think it's a little bit easier in some ways to capture the sort of the essence of them. And then we can make the fancy priests so that we have like designs for already, the front facing guys. So those some tasty looking art, dude. I appreciate it. Welcome in. You live stream often. I want to follow well-established artists. But I mean, I stream 4 to 5 days a week. Yeah, but I don't know if I consider myself well-established. All right, I'm no Ross Draws with several hundreds of thousands of followers or anything. All right. You probably want to be looking at a different spot for a well-established artist, but yeah, I stream pretty often. It's basically a full-time job. Well, it is my full-time job. Art is my full-time job. And so streaming is just a thing I do while I'm doing it. So I'd be doing this work, this kind of like this piece today or whatever. I'd be doing it even if I wasn't live or whatever. I stream my process. I don't consider myself a streamer first or anything. I'm an artist that streams, so it's a bit different. These works things are so annoying and force me to turn off the speakers so the meeting doesn't hear the stream. Damn, bro. What are they, like, not even D&D players or some shit there? We gotta fix that. We gotta fix that, man. We gotta fix the corporate cultures. Learn how to stream. Hey, just the best way to learn how to stream is to just go live. No one really knows how to stream before they start streaming. There's definitely not great advice out there. All the advice on like how to stream is usually from people that don't really do streaming all that well. And so the best thing to do is just kind of like experience it for yourself and figure out what you want to do. Don't worry about it. Don't overthink it. Hit that go live button. Only the PM is a player. Ah, I see. I see. All right, Thorkin. Thank you for the alert, buddy. Appreciate it. Okay. So tattered cloths that are going to kind of look like they were... As I said, it's kind of performative. It's almost like the Ghosty Boys are like trying to their vestments, what they do, what they wear. It's all like kind of an attempt at looking like they're a real established, like, you know, fancy holy order, but it's gonna be kind of like a demon wearing the face or the mask of a human. Of the very poorly made mask of a human. That kind of vibe or whatever is sort of going to be the go-to for them. So I kind of want to have them. Maybe we should have the hand. Yeah, I like that. The hand concealed. Because I was thinking maybe with a sensor in the other hand. You could always do that, like have a hand up here holding a sensor or whatever, but I think we already have the one lantern out. This kind of nice silhouette. We can always fix this later if I want to add something in, but let's just do what the silhouette commands right now. Take it to its conclusion. First step, go live. Second step, go live again. Exactly. Yep. Exactly. Not fancy, just my phone, no second screens, losing my hands and artwork in the screen. Well, I mean, that's fair. I mean, like, it is not about the tech, it is about the person behind it that usually merits for good streams. So if you're fun to hang around with, then the people will be there. But I do think that it is a bit difficult for a lot of people to connect with streamers that don't have like them. It's just like a talking head. There's very few like streamers that are just sort of ghostly voices, like Lyric, those kind of guys. It's one of the reasons why VTubers are so popular is because people can actually stream and don't have to like, you know, have themselves up there, but there's still some sort of avatar to connect with, some sort of like model or whatever. But hey, why not? What do you got to lose? If you're an artist, it is definitely helpful for your process and for your work, I think, to be, you know, in some ways like held accountable to a schedule. There's that. But there's lots of good things about streaming. Okay, we'll give him the gnarly ass bandage. And there's gonna be like a break between oh, one sec. Okay. Business. All right. Man, I do want to have something there with the hand or whatever, but maybe we'll just leave it for now. It's just bothering me that there isn't, you know? And then we'll do some more like vestment type prints and stuff, but I want the hood to be almost an indicator of if they're like sort of the front facing or rear facing or like secret type of consortium dudes. So front facing ones, all the parish masters and stuff like that, they all have the creepy like eye slits and stuff hood. These guys, the more like reapery dudes, they're the ones that run the show or whatever. So that's going to be one also visual distinction. When you see these guys popping up in the adventure, you know you kind of attracted the attention of like the big boys, as it were. So that's like the goal for the differences in like hoods. But I wanted to be kind of a yawning, dark portal into fucking nothingness when you look inside their hood. Definitely no features, no nothing like that. Very kind of like Malthael from Diablo 3. It was a very good character design, I think, to illustrate that kind of like fallen angel eeriness. But I mean, all the angels have that, which is really one thing I think is really cool about Diablo's dark fantasy style, is that even the angels feel dark fantasy. Even the light itself as a feature feels grim. Kind of like, I think that they do that in Warhammer 2 really well, is they have anything that's considered or supposed to be sort of like light and good and whatever is still kind of like dark. I mean, the Imperium's like sigil is the skull and whatever, and the Inquisition and all that kind of stuff. Like the Aquila is a fucking bird, but besides that, it's all skulls and mortality. There's like a certain idea in, I think, a lot of Warhammer that is a old term that artists who are boomers use. Real artists. It's a term called vanitas, I believe. It's kind of like the passing of time, and it's like symbolism of skulls and candles and rot and decay and entropy and diminishment and stuff like that. I think that there's some of that when you have like, you know, use those kind of like grim elements in the application, or of like, yeah, you deploy those kind of grim elements when you're trying to like tell a story or whatever of like something good or moral or whatever, like your paladins or anything like that. So we have to have our, I think we have to have our sleeve sort of, our other sleeve with our other vestment sort of hanging in there. Otherwise, it just seems like it's kind of unbalanced with only one. You'll just have a hand kind of like Yeah, something like that or whatever. I was thinking about the sensor, but I think that they'll either have the sensor or the lantern, or maybe they'll be both. We'll just like combine the sensor and the lantern into the same like symbol or whatever. So, Vanitas, big thing in older painters as well, is a pretty famous painting of a skull painted perspective. Looks extremely stretched front on. Oh, cool. Yeah, like that was one of the first sort of like themes I think that I actually studied in art school. I remember that. I remember it like well because I really liked the instructor that I had. I remember him telling us of all the brooding, self-indulgent sort of like vanitas and whatever. So that element is like those themes or whatever, I think are something that's used pretty often in art. Do I have my chain brush? No, I have to make a new chain brush. God damn it. Ever since we reinstalled everything, ever since that day, man, it's been brutal. Trying to redo a lot of brushes and stuff. I gotta save my full brush collection like once every, I think, like maybe month or whatever. If not a month, couple of weeks. The shortest, and you know, just like update it constantly. So same thing with any of the like portals into the clothing, any of the not only the hoods but like any of the openings, just straight darkness, like light goes there to die kind of thing. Photoshop programs. Photoshop, I use Photoshop for everything. It is the most powerful painting software, and so because of that, I even though things like Clip can do stuff like sketching work like this really well, and Rebel is like insane. It's easier for me to just use one piece of software for the entire thing, so I use Photoshop for everything because of that. We'll have all of our... Yeah, I kind of like that actually. The sleeve kind of folded over, adding to the glide. And like I said, it'll just be dark portals and stitched flesh and that kind of thing. So I used Photoshop a few years ago. Can't go back to Psy anymore. Ooh, Psy. That's a throwback for me. I used Psy for a little bit when we were like experimenting, exploring different softwares and stuff back in the day. I don't have a lot of experience with it, but it's like nostalgic, you know. Got an old paint tool Psy. Let's go, man. Never really ever use like Krita or whatever. No, that's the big one that people talk about. Maybe like I think it like kind of replaced Psy for a lot of people, but I don't know. Khaleesi Jupiter, thank you for the follow. Appreciate it. Welcome in. Sold for the blending engine of Psy, but it's overshadowed by literally everything else. Blending engine? I don't know. I don't really use blending tools for anything, so I wouldn't have an opinion on that. But all right, hey man, every software does something a little bit different. The thing is, like, Photoshop can usually do mostly anything that you want it to do, but like learning where that menu is or how to get it to do that shit is like such a pain in the ass. It's not even funny. Okay. What kind of patterning should we put on there? Maybe like grand embroidery type things. Sash, shawl, capes. Maybe a lot of trim style embroidery or whatever. Arcane Nerd, thank you for the follow as well. Welcome in. Let's see. Okay, we'll just use some. So the like the kind of the that spired ring is like a big theme in there. So maybe we'll just do some of that for now as like placeholder for later when we figure it out. kind of that dark, oppressive halo that they have. And I do wonder if we should have them have those like all of the parish masters and consortium dudes having that like sort of dark kind of halo behind them. Could add it to a couple concepts and see how it feels. Well, some of the chains like wrapped, almost like it's kind of like flowing over the body. And so that kind of like inspired halo type thing. Do some of that in the actual vestments will do just, I think, kind of like very ornate sort of like patterns and circles and spines and things like that. We'll figure it out in the actual sketch layer. The rough sketches kind of want to like maybe block out where that pattern's going to go and how big it's going to be, as opposed to like actually trying to draw it for now. As long as we reserve some space for it, it's fine. Same thing with like the big like kind of vestment things hanging off of their shoulders, wrapping around their neck. Those are also going to be, it's like we're going to try and take, I think, areas of great detail and just like collapse it and condense it down into a few areas on them, and then, you know, have the rest of it be kind of just open robes. And the only ones that are going to be kind of really gaudy are the really important kind of priestly figures that are kind of masquerading at the parish priest master level. So like the one you meet in Horizon, that guy is going to be like just ornate and fancy and have like the tallest hat and shit. Like these guys, this is like the kind of dude you're going to meet in like Horizon, is like one of these bros. But these are going to be those guys that kind of that if you go into, because I know Atari and a couple people who played through Horizon have actually gone to try and aggro the consortium, which is hilarious. They've gone to like find their ship or whatever. These are the kind of dudes you'll find like in the halls or whatever. We'll add some patterns there. Maybe we'll just keep with this like the ring and the spires the entire way through. And then figure out what to do in there. Yeah, that works. Some kind of pattern here, I'm not quite sure what. Okay. This might be a good enough base to start actually doing some line work on. Bray really shining those big shapes? Yeah, I think so. Maybe a good way to frame some of it. Consortium up till now has been maybe ghost. This guy just full ghost. Yeah, I mean, like, so like as you get deeper into the consortium, as you go sort of up and up and up, it's like the maybe ghost begins to kind of like, you know, the mask begins to drop the further up you go into like the depths and seniority. So they're just like straight up floating ghostly figures like this boy. But like you wouldn't, this is not the kind of guy, Atari, that you would see in the city of Horizon doing his like fancy procession stuff. He's not even trying to hide it at this point. This would be like you go to one of the like ships or whatever and find this dude extracting viscera from poor thrall to bees or whatever, things like that. Paladins can still channel divinity and sense undead, right? Yeah, I think no matter what, paladins will still be able to just like sniff them out as being undead. Paladins will know. Everybody else, meh. Meh. We'll get there eventually. Like, the consortium are kind of supposed to be an open secret, though, right? Like any time you talk to anybody in power, they kind of know the consortium's like full of shit, right? But this isn't an average like person level. So you talk to an innkeeper, they're like, I don't know, some religious cultists or whatever for whatever creepy church they have in or cathedral they have in the middle of Grandcrest. Like, that's kind of their vibe. Like, people don't really know what their deal is, but they just kind of stay away from them because your average citizen just doesn't want to have anything to do with their shit. If you're talking like paladin orders, nobles, whatever, it's the kind of thing where it's uncomfortable for a lot of people to talk about because, more or less, you don't want to upset the consortium if you're somebody in power, because likely there's some way the consortium could make your life like miserable, whether it's like hostile takeover of your, trading company or I don't know, bad things happening to one of your islands that you own, death in the family suspiciously type of thing. So like people don't really like openly talk about it, but it's in the open. It's just kind of like the emperor has no clothes is the way that I think maybe is the vibe behind it. They wield so much power and influence. But like at the end of the day, no one's going to do anything about them because everybody owes them and needs them for their own power grabs and stuff. And like an open conflict would be really bad. But like if you talk to, depending on the paladin orders, they are going to be more open of their condemnation of the consortium. But like, how many paladin orders are you gonna talk to in Horizon, yo? I guess it depends on the kind of campaign you have, Most people are just hoping to get through life without attracting their attention, basically. Yeah. Nor to like, I mean, a lot of people don't even like know when some sort of tragedy befalls upon your village, or your township or whatever. It's like kind of a, ooh, man, that sucks to be them. We would never sink so low. So like people think that like the consortium are kind of like people who they think the consortium is harmless because people sign up for consortium sort of like ownership or, whatever. It's the kind of thing where people don't really have like humans in general, I think, don't really have an idea of like an empathy for people who are desperate. But like when you're desperate, man, you do crazy shit. The capacity for people to sell one's soul. Everybody has this like grand idea of morals, and then all of a sudden your kid gets sick, and then morals be damned type thing. So it's like, you could imagine very like kind of high on their own morality, magistrates of villages sort of scoffing at the consortium's takeover of certain, townships or whatever. And then, hey man, pirates are sinking your village, and what are you going to do? Your village is falling by, 50 feet a day. The abyss is getting closer and closer, and you guys don't have anywhere else to go, so you could pay off your debts, right? Yeah, it's fine. The consortium's fine as long as you can pay off your debts to them, right? Yeah, sure. So You know, it'll be a temporary thing. You'll buy your way out at a certain point in time. So a lot of people have that grand idea about themselves, never needing the consortium. Okay. All right, I like this design. We're gonna go with this one, okay? For the first, like, little sketchy boy. I wonder if I should record this video process. I don't think things like monsters and stuff like that do all that well. So it's more characters that do really well. You never know. I guess I could. No, screw it. Screw it. Line work. Part of it might just be I just don't feel like deleting space on the hard drive for it. Okay. Hold on. I need to get more comfortable. Time to bad posture gremlin mode. Try and still be pretty quick with these sketches because I don't want to spend too long on these sketches. Want quantity and some of the trade-off for this. Quality's great, but I also just need a bunch of sketches too, so we're not going to spend all of our time on the sheer and direct quality of them. We're not going for illustration just yet. Soon, though. Soon, TM. Thank you for redeeming your orb member fees, Cass. I appreciate that. Hey, welcome back to another month. I keep forgetting that's a redemption. I see it, I'm like, what? Redemption? I think it's making me not see my stretch and hydrate checks, though. Not that I always see those anyway, but... I don't know, I gotta figure something out. Okay. And then jewelry is also going to be an important thing. Just the display of wealth that they have is going to be a big factor for the consortiums, like creepy vibes. The amount of gold and gems and jewels and fancy, you know, art and carvings and stone work and whatever. Their cathedral will be both beautiful and oppressive. Mixture between Gothic and brutalist architecture. Like a Sith temple mixed with a Mixed with a German cathedral. That's the vibe, alright. And then, probably need to do this on a different layer. Really want that. Maybe we'll do a fill layer for their face. Like a really deep fill layer. Fill holes. We're just gonna call it for now. There we go. Mix that with pretty uniform hatch and it'll be good. I'm gonna have to do some printing today as well, like beyond the trading cards. I think I got a couple of print store orders, which is pretty cool. Ella mentioned to me. That stuff doesn't come to my phone, it comes to Ella's phone, so I actually have no idea when I get an order on the print store. Ella tells me what I need to print. Oh shoot, I think she said that the trading cards were the last box sold out. I should go check. Hold on. Take a brief interlude, trading card interlude as soon as I've done this. Okay, hold up. Let me see. Where is the stupid link? Oh, there it is. Look, having it up, I'll just, you know, I'll just do it like this. Trading cards. Sold out. Yo, dude. Sold out. Holy shit. I'm not sure who got the last box, but there it is, dude. The last box gone. I cannot believe that, dude. I was not expecting this to sell out at all this year. I thought that like maybe if I got rid of the entire inventory by the end of next year, that'd be like pretty cool goals. Holy shit. All right, are there packs left? There are packs left though. There are individual packs, but dude, that's so cool, man. Boxes sold out. Holy shit. Merchandising tips. Materials and care. What the fuck is this? Hold on. I need to complain to my web department. Ella. Hold up. Hold up. Where is Eleanor? Can you kill the tips thing, please? Is that on all of my items? On all of the listings. Okay, it is. What the fuck? All right. Anyway, hell yeah, dude. Look at that. Sold the fuck out. Let's go, dude. Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah. Well, whoever got that, I appreciate it. Shit, someone snapped it last night, so that's cool. Fucking sick. That's really cool, man. That's exciting. 'Cause that's kind of like the first Realms of Eldara like release or whatever. That's kind of like the first thing in Eldara, hey? Like as an actual like Realms of Eldara, I don't know what the right word is, product? It's a big deal, man. So what this means is that I'm going to have to make the second edition for conventions next year then. Oh, sorry, Ella needs something from me. One second. She needs a link to my coffee because apparently somebody made a mistake. Cool. Ella Blackwood, man. Taking charge. Taking care of things. Keeping the store running. What would we do without each other? Not much. Certainly nothing cool. Okay. Some kind of like pattern kind of getting compressed on this or whatever as it wraps around his neck, its neck, thing's neck. There we go. Yeah. Were these once people? Are they people? Thralls, ghosts, demons, entities in the back rooms? Who knows, man? We'll have people doing lore videos on Eldara, speculative lore videos, like Matt Pat does for, or did for Five Nights at Freddy's or whatever. I love that entire subgenre of gaming lore nerds. I've got a couple friends that are into that. They're passionate, man. They love that shit. Cloth anatomy, yo. I think that maybe we'll change the rub color for like the fancy consortium priests and then these guys. Make them like white versus black or something. But these ones are the ones that are more like Grim Reaper-y. But we'll keep it white for now because it's kind of like, I don't know. It's a nice little contrast idea, I guess. I think people overcomplicate concept art sometimes too much. I love the way that George Lucas was talking about, like, character design stuff. He'd always be so, like, direct and stuff. So all the ILM dudes are like, yeah, man, it's not complicated. Spooky dude in hood. People figure it out. You know? Good guy in white robe, bad guy in black armor. They get there in the end. Nerds love argument lore. They do, right? I hope that Eldara one day is worthy of nerd arguments. I hope that in one video at some point in time, a lore video or whatever, I see nerds argue in the comments. That'd be great. In 30 years, I'll see like... Wait, what? Hold up. Need to check something. Cool. Okay. Thank you, Ella. She's helped me with some print store stuff. Taking care of business for me. You are your own toxic fandom? That'd be great. Oh, yeah. Dude. Isn't that the dream? Isn't that the dream? Nerds gatekeeping and excluding each other because of performative nerding. You know? You know, like when you talk to a Warhammer player sometimes at like the Warhammer store, and they'll be like, so what kind of Warhammer do you play? And you'll be like, oh, I don't play Warhammer, I just like read the books and, you know, play the video games and like I like to paint the minis. They're like, oh, fake fan. You're like, what? Fake fan, you're not a fan of Warhammer unless you play the game. You know? Like having like rabid toxic gatekeeping nerds, that's how you know you've made something important. Absolutely. When people can be described as fake Eldara fans, that's when I'll know. That's when I'll know I've truly made something special. When I have to like condemn and disavow an entire section of the fandom for poor gatekeeping behavior, that is how you will know that I've made it as a creative. There it is, man. There it is. Try to be a graybeard in both D&D and Realms of Eldara. Let's go, man. You'll be a great Eldara graybeard. You were there at the beginning. You remember before Evan sold out and made Eldara a anime booba gacha game. You remember when it was still a D&D project. It was still a tabletop narrative role-playing experience before the mobile games got a hold of it. Fake Eldara fans are those who don't know the beauty of the orb? Okay, alright. Wait, do I have to disavow the orbers now? Have I already made it? Wait, is this it? Is this what it feels like to be a successful artist? I have to disavow the orb cultists? Let's go, dude. Holy man. Maybe I'm further along in my career than I thought I was right now, you know? Well, I got myself kicked out of a game store for interfering with the sale? Ooh, that'd be good. Yeah, dude. Yeah, how about that? I was in a I was in a game store like last weekend when I had to go last week when I had to go pick up my paper. It's right by, it's close where I go to pick up my paper is like downtown, and it's close-ish, like on my way in and out of the city to a game store that I used to work at. And so I went back there and I was looking at 40K because I was curious to see if the 500 World stuff has come out yet. Because Ella had just finished Space Marine 2 with me, and I thought it'd be fun to look at, see if I could get her like a little Titus and a Gadriel and Chiron minis or whatever, because I know they had those previewed. And so I'm sitting looking around, and there are these like two clueless parents that are shopping for like a kid's like Christmas present or whatever. And the one lady was like, "Excuse me, can you help me find this for my son? You look like you know what you're talking about." I was like, I don't work here, ma'am, but sure. She's like, "No? Well, you certainly look like you play the game." And I was like, what? And then my friend who still works at the store, Chris, came over. He was like, "Hi, folks. Can I help you find anything?" They're like, "Oh, yes, please." And it didn't kind of click for me for a moment. I was like, what the fuck do you mean I look like I play 40K? Like, I was standing in front of it, sure, staring at it, but like, I could have been looking at it for my 15-year-old son. The fuck do you mean? Like, I mean, I guess I look like I belong at a BlizzCon. But 40K, that's offensive, man. Then you have to babysit your own YouTube chat. True. True, Cass. The power the orbers wield is too great for me to Don't speak to me of the orb magics. I was there when they were written. Damn. I should make a canonical orb. Like a sketch card. Oh my god, I know what I'm going to do for my spring release. Hold on. Oh my god. Okay. Spring promos. 1 of 1 the orb. Oh my god. I'm gonna add that into the spring release. Okay. Okay. The only cards I might buy just for the meme? No, it's gonna be a 1 of 1, Cass. No, you're never gonna get it. It's gonna be a 1 of 1 for the promo when I do a spring release for promos for the mini set. You're never gonna own it. There'll only be one. I'm gonna only have one copy, and then my artist proof, just like the Ella Blackwood promo. There'll be a 1 of 1 orb, and then who controls the orb controls the meme. All right, homophobic. God damn it. God damn it. Not again. All right. Let's do the vestments last because I kind of want it to just be super sketchy with the hood and stuff. Fuck, I should have been recording this. Looks so cool. Then again, my TikTok is just book talk girlies, so I don't know if they would care about seeing a spooky ghosty boy. The book talk girlies know what they want. They're very good about communicating that. They want one thing, it's disgusting, and they know it. That's what I like about them. They're as openly depraved as the Gooner weebs, but they're a much more fun crowd. Dude, after I did that like book talk ball, I'm like all in on the book talk girlies now. Book talk girlies stocks to the moon. They were the best time ever. 10 out of 10 would go to a book talk romantasy ball again instead of a weebcon. I'm converted, man. They got me in there. Do anything inside the hood at all? I just mean, when I run a longsword into it, do I hit anything or do I come out the back? Yeah, no, there's something there. Atari is something in there, and it is squishy. It's squishy and mulchy, and there's resistance, so it's not quite like stabbing into like a hunk of meat, you know. But there's definitely, you don't hit any kind of like bone or whatever. You kind of like yeah, cursed ring wraith. Yeah, it's not good. It's not good. When you stab one of these boys in the face, it's not appealing, you know. I will say that ichor leaks from the wound, no matter where you cut them. So, like stabbing a thing of Jello, like stabbing a no. Like stabbing a thing of Jello with fruit and chicken bones in it. That's what it's like. That's what it's like. With large chunks of fruit and chicken bones in it. That's what it feels like to stab one of these guys in the face into the darkness of the hood. Ooh. Yeah. Oh. That's one of the descriptions we leave out of the book, okay? We keep that one for the World Admiral article. And that's it. No one doesn't make it into the publication. Okay. What's this guy's name again? He doesn't have a name yet. We're just doing concept, so. Holy shit, Reaper! What's up, guys? Welcome in. Welcome in, guys. Good to have you. Oh shit! Yo, check it. Welcome in. We're just talking about stabbing ring race. Guys, if you aren't following Reaper, please go follow Reaper. They're a good time over there all the time. Guys, I made a pilgrimage. Look, I was at the game store the other day, and I made a pilgrimage to the Reaper wall. We were talking about it on stream the other day. So I went to, I know it's backwards because, you know, it's the way the phone works, but I went on a pilgrimage to the Reaper wall. I did. It was a grand adventure back to my home game store, so it was fun. I need to start buying minis so I can get practice up on painting for some diorama stuff for Ella's Dice. So welcome in, my friends. It's an honor to have you guys. If you are from my chat and you're new here and you aren't familiar with Reaper, Reaper Miniatures, one of the best, most legendary monoliths of gaming in the tabletop RPG space, in the wargaming space, in the dice click-clack space. God damn it, you all use Reaper Miniatures and you might not even know it. No, Reaper's great. I love the minis. I love people who run the Twitch stream. I love the chat. They're awesome. If you guys aren't following them, go over and shove a follow, man. And if you're from the Reaper stream, welcome in, guys. We're doing some concept art for my adventure that I'm publishing. And we're doing some dark consortium ghostly boys. So evil, spooky consortium parish masters and the sort. So where somebody asked the question, what it's like to stab one of these guys. And the answer is like stabbing jello with chunks of fruit and chicken bones floating in it. So not sure if that makes your day better, but that's where we're at right now. So good to have y'all in here. Yeah, man, I made the pilgrimage, yo. That was actually the same day, because I was telling the story earlier. If you guys just to catch everybody up here, I was telling the story earlier about when I was at the game store, and this older couple asked me if I'd help them find Warhammer, because I looked like the kind of guy who plays Warhammer, which I'm not sure if I should be offended by. But that was the same day that I was at the game store and I took the photo with the Reaper wall. Just so we're all aware, all right, as to the lore and canonical timeline of my life. It was the same day. That was the happiness of me going back to the Reaper wall before I was insulted and told I looked like I played tabletop miniatures. I don't know if it's supposed to be an insult or not, but I took it as one. I took it as one, man. You know? I've heard some wild things, like we're in the game store, people say, like parents shopping around Christmas time. You know? I once had a guy, I remember I was at the game store, and I was like, I usually worked at the cards, right? And I was like, you help out everywhere, right? So I was like stocking shelves of like board games and stuff. And, you know, I had the basket, because we weren't organized, right? It was just a basket of product that had to go out. So I was like stocking board games and stuff. And there's a bunch of Warhammer in there. And usually we had a dedicated Warhammer guy. And so I walked over to the Warhammer section, like stocking Warhammer, putting stuff on the shelf, you know. And I remember this guy came up who's like, he was like a real like blue collar dad type figure buying something for his kid. And he's like, he said, I don't remember how he started the conversation, but he started the conversation by saying something like, you know, like abrasively, like you're here to help me find the thing, right? Like it was really very commanding, like, oh, okay, sure, man. Like, well, not a great way to start a conversation, but sure, I work here, I can help you, you know? And I'm like helping the guy find some things. He wants some like, you know, orcs and shit. And then he's like, yeah, so you like own this place or something? He's like, no, I just work here. Like, oh, I thought this was like a family store. I was like, well, I mean, the owner's daughters work here and they're both very nice, so maybe. So, yeah, isn't it like a little weird to be like a grown adult working in a toy store? Shouldn't you get like a construction job or something? And I was like probably 25, 26 at the time. Like, fucking, I got PTSD when I encountered the elders this last weekend of that conversation, which that guy has lived in my head rent free for probably now at this point, like nine years. That interaction of a guy saying that I was a little bit too old to work in a toy store, I still think of him. I still remember the smell of beer and smoke off of him. God damn it. And like, you forget these things until you step back into the game store. You're like, oh yeah, that's right. Unfortunately, all the times I had to teach people how to play D&D is called back to mind often. Like, I got game store diary stories, man. I thought about making like a series, like a TikTok series or whatever, an Instagram series about like game store horror stories. But I think that like the D&D crowd has kind of like been exhausted of that from Reddit. So, but man, I had seen it all. Every meta, every class of game store nerd, I've been there. I've seen them, man. And I've been subjected to their torment. From the Karen moms that are demanding that their kid win D&D more in their home game that you have nothing to do with because you just work at the game store, to people trying to return an open booster pack of Magic cards because they didn't like the cards and they didn't think that they were buying that set. They thought they were getting the different set. From the crumpled up pieces of paper with 100 individual commons from across Magic the Gathering's history, and they want you to just find them all for them in the binders for their stupid EDH deck. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Been there, done that, man. Okay. I think we'll have him like kind of like resting his hand on his vestment, almost like kind of like Napoleonic pocket tuck type thing. I realize if I have it covering his vestment, it covers the entire hand, so that doesn't work. You know what I need? I need a chain brush. We're gonna make me a new chain brush. We're gonna make a new chain brush for me because I lost mine when I restarted everything. 2 by 2 inches. Nope, that's not what I want. God damn it. Camera size, not 2 by 11 inches. You saw it flip back, right? I'm not crazy. Working places where even interact with customers a little bit is not for the weak. No, but like, to be fair, so Alex, when I was working at my first job that I had when I was in art school was I worked at Best Buy. Now I really didn't like my Best Buy job because I worked in the computer section. So when I was at Best Buy, this is like 2008-ish, around there, 7, I think, maybe. So I was a young buck, and actually it was in between. It was before I started working, before I was went to art school. I was working there, and I was in computers. And the way it worked at the time is, if you wanted a computer at the time, people didn't really build their own computers at that time. You did, but it was for the enthusiasts, like the deep enthusiasts. Now, most people would like custom order a PC. You know, it's like the thing you do if you were like a gaming nerd. Now, if you don't build your PC, you're a loser, you know, in the gaming sphere. But back then, at least if you didn't buy a pre-built box PC, you said you want to go online, you customize your PC. So we didn't interact with like gamers in the computer section. We interacted with family computers. That's what we sold, basically, you know. So the average customer that I would get would be somebody who would, you know, not like, you know, like, oh, hey, where's the mice? Okay, it's over here, you know. But like the computer people that I'd sell computers to, they would, here's the timeline of their experience would look something like, you are a dad that works overtime because you've got, you know, 3 kids, 6 dogs, 2 houses, 4 wives, the whole shebang. Your home computer isn't working, and you can't send your emails, and your wife can't, you know, like her aunt's Facebook photos and whatever. And so you go and call tech support because your computer stopped working. So you're on the phone with whatever company, HP or whatever, that you buy your computer from, with tech support for like 6 hours. frustratingly getting told to turn it off and back on, to, you know, go through and run commands that you don't know how to do, and then you did it wrong, and then whatever. And so you're on the phone for like 6 hours one night after working a long week, you know, all Friday night. You don't get to enjoy yourself. Your kids are crying in the background. Your wife's mad at you because you didn't figure this shit out. And so you realize finally that you have to buy a new computer, god damn it. And so you go to the computer store, because you're up all Friday night doing this, you're up all Saturday on hold, you waste your entire weekend. Now it's Saturday night, you could be doing anything else in the world, but you go to the computer store, to Best Buy, and what is greeting you there is the fat little dude in the blue sweater or the blue polo that's trying to sell you a warranty. That was me. All right? People were fucking miserable. No one was ever excited to buy a computer. It was always people that are like, I have to do this. Do not upsell me. Don't sell me your warranty. Don't sell me whatever. But of course, management is like, you got to sell the PSP. If you don't sell the PSP warranty, then you got to find your fuck you. You know, whatever. Even though we were non-commissioned. Hello, sir. My name's Evan from Best Buy, and I just want to let you know up front that we're non-commissioned and no pressure. So what can I help you with today? And then behind the scenes, you were pressured entirely to sell performance service plan. So they were miserable. They hated everything about it. And I hated that job because of it. Nobody was happy. So now I'm working in the game store. It's Friday night, man. You got people who work downtown in the offices. People work as teachers, linemen, cooks, whatever, bro. Every walk of life, every type of person wandering in at the end of a hard week to play some games, to blow off some steam, to look at their favorite game, to enter a draft and jam some EDH, hang out with the homies. And I loved it. I love Friday Night Magic. Everybody was in a great mood. We had our card desk, and it's like up a couple of feet, or it's up like about a foot. It's like it's like a foot or so up raised. So you're kind of looking out on everyone. You're kind of being a host to people. Hey, what's up, Tim? How's your dog doing? What's up, boys? Welcome into the draft. You doing well in school? That right on. You like chilling. Everybody's in a good mood. So as much as retail sucks, and working in a place where you have to interact with customers is tough and like soul draining, and there are the negative experiences, I have so much more appreciation for what I did in that, like, not caring about the bad, because I'd worked at Best Buy long enough to realize what it was like to work in true retail hell. Oh my god, it was the worst. I didn't mind it. Like the game store, I actually kind of enjoyed the job. Like, it didn't, like, game stores don't pay well. You don't work in a game store because you want to make a living. You work in a game store because you want the employee discount and you don't want to have to, like, work that hard or whatever. And you're passionate about it. And you want to be around the games and stuff all the time. And I was definitely that for a couple of years, and it was awesome. But as soon as I realized I wanted to, like, start growing and doing other things, and, you know, it's time to, you know, quit your job at the game store, which sucks. But no, it was fun though. Like I definitely got to see and interact with and get a different side of the gaming community and the industry. I learned a ton about it. Like, definitely, if I ever want to make my own, like, sort of publish my own adventure like I do this coming up year, which was supposed to be this year, but whatever. Or like card games or board games, or run a Kickstarter for this kind of project or whatever. I know a lot more about it and the inside of it and distribution and production and all that kind of stuff because I worked there. So it's a good experience for that side of things. Definitely came with a lot of the annoying, oh my god, yeah, customer facing interactions, because some days you're just like done. You're absolutely not in the mood for whatever kind of bullshit you're gonna have to deal with, you know. But that's unfortunately in your job description, is to deal with the bullshit. That's you, man. You're getting paid to deal with the bullshit, and deal with the bullshit you shall. Most people are pretty nice though. It's definitely way nicer than working at Best Buy in the computer section. I always wanted, like, when I applied to Best Buy, I applied in for what was called media, which was DVDs, Blu-rays, video games. Oh my god. That was like the high end, bro. Everybody wanted to work in media. Media TVs was good too. The TVs crew was they were all cool. They're the coolest crowd as far as like the sales dudes goes. But the real cool crowd were the car audio dudes. They were the cool guys. They'd install stereos and shit in your car, bruh. But I wanted to work in video games. And so I applied to work in video games. They're like, wow, you're great. Yeah, wow, you are fantastic. We would love to have you working here. And I'm like, wow, thank you. That's awesome. They're like, but just so you know, the position that you applied for and interviewed for the past half hour is full, but we can fit you into computers. Do you want to work in computers? I'm like, yeah, sure, kiddo. It'll just be a temporary thing. We'll put you in computers, and then you'll work in computers for a little while until we have our opening in media, and then you'll be first on the list for it. That never happened. I'm like, okay, sure. They're like, what do you know anything about computers? I'm like, I guess. They're like, great. Do you know the difference between Windows and Mac and Apple? I was like, yeah. One's made by Microsoft, the other's made by Apple. They're like, great, you're hired. And I remember there was a guy who was in charge of like the computer install stuff called the Geek Squad. And he was like temporarily running the computer section because they didn't have a computers manager. So he was doing both. And so he's like, the store manager was like, here you go, Ian, here's your new employee. And he's like, oh, hey, man. And I'm like, hello. He's like, so, you wanted to work in computers? I was like, yeah. They said that I could work in computers for a little while until the position that I am getting hired for opens up. And he's like, uh-huh. Anyway, do you know anything about computers? I was like, yeah, sure. He's like, what's the difference between a 32-bit and a 64-bit operating system? And I remember I just went, and he was like, oh geez, okay, oh god, all right, that's fine, okay, man, we'll train you up. It was the worst, man. It was like one of the most memorable and worst jobs I ever had. I was so glad to get out of there, though. I was so fucking glad to be gone and done with that shit. It was oppressive, man. It was toxic. I don't know if Best Buy still is, but I'm glad I had that experience, though. It was like fun to look back on, I suppose. I think everybody, when they get old and have like a real job, looks back at their like teenager shit jobs with like some level of affection, even though it sucked. Some level of simplicity, you know? You weren't running a whole business and have orders and clients and NDAs and contracts and shit. It's just you know, show up to your job and, you know, sweep the fucking rack for Watto or whatever thing you're doing. Okay, I'm gonna grab a new water, fresh water real quick. So I'm gonna go do that. I'll be right back. You haven't been up in about a minute. Get up and stretch your legs, you lazy weirdos. Okay, give me a sec. We back. Water get. Spooky consortium guy. Get two apparently. I think the whole like bandaged arms and appendages thing has been a thing that is people gravitated towards. For some reason in the Horizon game that I ran for Dashto and Jackie and Limit and Ella, Dashto like obsessively collected bandages from all the consortium dudes and wrappings. I don't know why. I don't know what he was doing with them, but he had some goal, some paladinly goal or whatever. I never figured it out because we never got that far. We had to end the campaign a little bit earlier after Horizon was done because Jackie got really busy with work. Tremendously so. It's always the issue, huh? You know, even in my own D&D game. Though I like told them that I can only play for a little while before I'd have to like get cracking on work and stuff and get focused. I really think that the West March game is like the best, if not like only way that I'll ever be able to play a long-term game. That or I just play one-on-one D&D with Ella until the end of time. She's the one player I can guarantee will be there every week. Even his like fingers will be all wrapped up and gnarly. Really, weirdly, the bandages will always be like clean and white, or kind of like tan or beige, or whatever. They won't be able to be like dirty and gross. They'll always be like kind of pristine, and I think that makes them like more eerie, you know. Someone take a consortium symbol that was stitched inside the clothing after they dissolved into black goo. Ooh, okay. Well, that's a new one. You know, as I think about it though, the consortium dudes are all wearing like gold and stuff and jewelry. So if you were willing to like reach into the ichor, you could probably make a decent, you know, decent amount of a coin looting the corpses of the consortium dudes, Atari. You know, not just war trophies, but just... Maybe that's what, you're right, that's what Dashto wanted. He wanted to just collect an entire, like, spool of consortium parish masters and priests and stuff that he killed. He was a Duskwatch paladin, so he had this kind of, like, license to be weird. Narratively. I guess there's that, you know. Be weird if he wasn't being weird. Do I want to add any, like, chains and stuff here? Oh, God. How ornate do we want to get? How detailed. I could be here for a long time. Might have to, though. Can't sacrifice and skimp out on the designs, hey? Especially not a card for Master Cobalt himself. Let's see which one I choose for it, though. I do worry, though, that because the idea of like this sort of like dark, false religion built on a lie trope has been so much explored by Critical Role recently in the last couple of weeks that people will see the Consortium and Horizon in like 6 months or whatever and be like, that's just Critical Role, you know? You get a lot of that, right? People always try and find patterns or whatever. I'm very eager to identify that something that they see is similar to the other thing that they've seen. One of the most endearing and insufferable things that I deal with. It's simultaneously adorable, but also really annoying. Okay. Yeah, I think we got to do it the fancy way with all the fancy embroidery on it. So, I'm gonna make a pattern brush for it. That'd be easier, you know? Might be more expedient anyway. Make a pattern brush for our boy here. And then if I make some patterns and stuff, I can use them across different like thralls and whatnot for very quick little sketches and, you know, use it as a base sketch for the fancier illustrations and whatever. Well, that could be good. Okay. This works. We'll do all the chains and stuff on a layer above, I think. Think about the order in which to draw things. Shreds and tatters and whatnot first. And then I got a meeting pretty quick here I need to start prepping for. Got some big projects, man. I'm really excited to be able to announce some of the cool stuff, but got some important clients coming up for some big things. You boys almost made it, yo. Maybe some point in time in the next 3 to 12 years I'll be considered a real artist. Guys, how do I have a meeting with real clients? What's it like to talk to people that actually do things? How do I make a good impression? Do I have to wear a suit on a Discord call? What do you think? What if I just show up in a tuxedo? To a Discord video call. I gotta figure out some phrases I can use to make me sound more you know, more informed. Your best Adidas tracksuit. Ooh, that's true. I do have a nice Adidas tracksuit. Put my track jacket on. So it's so funny. That's my uniform whenever I go to conventions. Whenever I go to conventions, I wear my track jacket. And I really want to get what I want is I want to get, so like this is the jacket from behind. Got like the collar, you know, and then it's got like the elastic right there, and then you got like the sleeves, and then I always have them rolled up, right? This is kind of like what my go-to. What I really want to do, and it's got like the Adidas stripes on it here on the sides, you know, and then I don't think there's anything down the, oh yeah, then down the side. What I really want is I want to get one, and I want to get an embroidery of the Blackwood Dice logo, the hammer. Wait, there we go. Look, man, I know I made it. It's been a bit. Yeah, I want to get an embroider like Blackwood Dice, and then I want to get some Eldarin like runic script and stuff down like one of the sleeves or whatever, or some shit, and then maybe on the front side. Maybe on the front. Oops. Because the front like has like zips up, right? Like this. So maybe on the front, because it's got like the Adidas thingy that goes up the side. Get like a Blackwood Dice little thing right there. You know? And then maybe like some cool like paladinly, like kind of blessing seal type thing, like imperial purity seals from 40k or some shit like that. Yeah, and then maybe like, I don't know, you can't really do anything on the arms because, you know, there's the like tracksuit thingy or whatever. But yeah, this is like my go-to for every convention. I always wear this jacket. I usually like have it open or whatever. My like uniform for conventions. So I want to see if I can get my friend Selena to embroider. I know she can do embroidery, but she has to do it in like certain, like I think like 10 by 10 or whatever patches. So if she was to embroider something like this, she'd have to do like one section by one section, and it'd take her a long time, and it'd probably cost a lot of money because of that. So I might see about just ordering, you know, like a jacket or whatever off of like Printful. Actually, I wonder if they do have, hold on, this is important. Hold on. Yeah, wait a minute. Custom embroidery. Let's search for jacket. I know there's another word for a track jacket that like is a more mainstream word. Products. Product catalog. Hold up. This might be easy. Men's clothing. Long sleeve shirts, jackets and vests. All right. Champion jacket champion packable jacket. No, that's not it. Columbia fleece. No, I don't want a hood. That's cool though. The Oliver print windbreaker could be actually kind of lit. V-neck vest. Wow. Softshell jacket. No. Oh, wait, that's not a bomber jacket. Is this some weird UK thing where they call these jackets bomber jackets? Not a bomber. What the fuck? This is exactly it though. But it's not embroidery. It's all over print. Wait, that might be better because then I could do like a design for. Oh my god, that's expensive. Holy fuck. Okay. All right. Get little pockets. No zippies though on the pockets, which is definitely not good. But this could work, man. This could be my new convention jacket. Do the Blackwood dice, like, big pattern on the back. Ooh. This could be kind of cool, man. Okay. Okay. Oh, wait. Track jacket. Wait, no, this is what I want. Wait, what the fuck? I didn't see this. I didn't see it. No, this is exactly what I want. And it's got the zippies. Wait, this is exactly it. That's fucking expensive. But that's okay. What's $100 Canadian? Like $60 US or some shit? $32. Okay. 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 True to size. Oh, shit, dude. Okay. All right. See, this is cool, man. Oh my god, I could do the matching pants to the full tracksuit. Okay. Bro, I could make my own convention jacket. Fuck getting it embroidered and shit on an Adidas jacket. I just make my own. Dude, wait. This could work. All right. All right. Okay. Anyway, sick. Glad we figured out that was an option. Yeah. Wait. No. I was saying. Wait. Why are we bring tracksuits? Oh yeah, because I was trying to figure out if I should wear a suit to my business meeting. My fancy business meeting with fancy corporate clients. They're not corporate clients. I think that's a joke. That's a joke. It's a joke. Creative corporate clients. It's not like when I was a graphic designer and I had corporate clients. I'm excited for this one. My meeting on Wednesday went super well. So I'm very excited for the projects I'm working on right now. Got some big things happen, man. What's up, Azalea? Good news, I didn't get flooded and washed away. Water levels definitely got close, though. Sad news, I still have to go to work today. Damn. Wait, y'all had some flooding over there? Bro. What are you doing getting floods? The hell? What are y'all flooding for? What do you mean? Why'd you choose to get flooded? What's it like to live somewhere that can flood in December? Holy, man. Hope everybody's okay, though. Hope there's not, like, you know, damage and shit. Because flooding fucks everything up. People think it's, like, less destructive than a fire, but I don't know, man. It's all the same. We had some legendary floods where I lived. Live-ish, but lived when I was about 25. That shit's scary, man. The whole city of Calgary, like, flooded. It's crazy. It was a once in a 1,000-year flood, they said. It seems like a once in a 1,000-year event keeps happening, doesn't they? Pacific Northwest, we get 2 atmospheric rivers over us right now, and we have 15 plus days of constant rain. Holy shit, dude. Okay, yeah, torrential. Oh no, I was checking on Aduria. He lives in the Pacific Northwest. Make sure you didn't get washed away. And he's been posting bird meme meta images every day just to call for help. I had no idea. I wonder if Vancouver saw any of those kind of floods and shit. I got friends out there. To make sure everybody is okay and chilling. Just tattered enough, I think. Just shitty enough. That's what we'll go with for the base here. Gross and tattered only ever so slightly. Okay. Yeah, it looks decent. I just don't know what to do with the patterning on the actual, like, large pieces of fabric. You know? If there's going to be, like, anything on them besides just, like, kind of the rings and spiky bits and whatnot. This is, or must only be on the edge of those. Frankly, I don't think it's much worse than a normal December storm where I'm north of Vancouver. Oh, okay. Well, yeah. There's that, I guess. You know, I like Vancouver in December. It's still like green there, isn't it? Let's see. Vancouver in December. Like that's the thing is like everybody says that the skies are gray and you haven't seen the sun and whatever. But let's look Stanley Park, Vancouver, December. Is it still green there though? Why are there images of snow in Stanley Park? You guys can't afford snow. What is this shit? Because I think I would trade blue skies for green grass all winter. Like we have blue skies where I live like most of the winter, but it's like not nice out because the sun doesn't get high in the sky at any point in time. Well, all this shit that I can find is all like Vancouver with the one snowing it gets a year. So I would trade the blue skies, the short blue sky days for green grass and whatnot, for like life to not be dead and barren and burnt and decayed until May at the earliest. It's like a good 7-8 months of just dead. We only have green where I live for like June, May a bit, but May kind of counts. Half of May, so June, July, August, and then part of September. You know, screening around here, reading we're called the Evergreen State. Oh, really? You usually get at least 3 snow events in a winter. Yeah, my brother went to school in Vancouver. So did my sister-in-law. They both flew out and went to school there. And my brother had at the time, he had a WRX, a Subaru WRX STI. So a rally car, all-wheel drive, let's go. And he said that he was like the only person out driving around when there was a snowstorm when he was in school. Whenever there was like a snowstorm, which only happened like you said 3 or 4 times in a year, he'd be the only person on any of the roads, right? Until the snow melted. Just straight chilling. I think it's probably more common now than it was like when he was in school like 15 years ago, but still, you know, or 20 years ago maybe, I don't know. That's pretty rad, honestly. Having the whole city to yourself like that, the roads and shit. I would trade for the green though. I would. That's the depressing part here. Like the days being short kind of suck. It's like dark here by 4. You know, like nighttime dark by 4 p.m. here, but that's like, you know, it's similar in Vancouver, right? We're not like that farther north. Yeah, I don't know. It's just I can't. The cold isn't even the worst part. It's just everything being dead, man. Like I like the snow. I'd love to live somewhere like North Japan that gets a shit ton of snow but doesn't get very cold. You know, like I don't mind there just being trapped under snow for like months of the year. Because then spring happens and you're like, oh boy, look at me. I'm in a place that has stuff to look forward to. As opposed to the cold mountains. Oh no, we talked about this yesterday. Wait, no, because our bugs are the size of quarters, so that's why I live here. Never mind. Forgot. My bad. Yep, sorry. Totally, my bad. Yep. Mm-hmm. How could I forget? How could I forget? Can you believe that? I think we'll put like... Maybe I'll just leave this blank until I want to do the patterns. We'll leave the big, like, thick pieces of cloth. We'll wet to golf, but there'll still be people out there usually golfing properly by March or so. That's pretty good, though, dude. God, I gotta move my dad to Vancouver, man. I gotta move him out there so we can just golf year-round, basically. That or I just fly him down to the U.S. to golf during the winter. I'm a failure of a son. Sorry, Dad. So last because I was painting, what cities are we talking about? We're talking about Vancouver. Vancouver, and then I live, I guess you could say, close to Calgary. That's the city I live closest to, like, big city. Yeah, this is fine. I'll just leave this open probably. And we'll just do all the other, like, kind of design and work and whatnot in here. And we'll leave this open. Really should have selected this out a different way, though. Really should figure out how to actually art one of these days. But yeah, March would be good. The dark does definitely get to me a little bit, you know. I was at the doctor the other day, and he's like, well, it sounds, Evan, like you could use some sunshine. So any chance on you being able to go visit your family in Hawaii anytime soon? I was like, maybe. Plane ticket prices weren't so expensive. Maybe. If I can get the airline or my health insurance to cover the prescription plane tickets to Hawaii for a little while, just so I get some sun and water. That'd be nice. That'd be all right, you know? Hey, man. I feel like I need that. Like, when I become a rich old person, I'm definitely going to go on, like, a February trip every year. Because where I live, February is the worst month. Like, well, okay. March is the heartbreaker, but February is the worst. Because, like, January sucks. Anything winter before just January is fine. November is like, ooh, it's cool and cold and there's snow, and, like, you know, like October, September is like the fall and everybody loves the fall, and then December is Christmas and there's lights out and everybody's out and they're happy and everybody's in a good mood, even though it's dark and cold and shit. Everybody's like chilling. And then January hits. The warm glow of the New Year's begins to wear off. Resolutions begin to fade. The optimistic look at the new year begins to settle into the familiar routines that got us into the positions we were currently trying to get out of. But middle January, it gets cold as shit. If we get like minus 40 days, it happens in January. And so now it's cold and dark and even colder and even darker. And now you don't have like the nice, like warm glow of the holidays. But you can deal with it, right? Because, you know, you can deal with it because it's only been like a couple of weeks of like really hard winter. So you're okay with it. You can kind of chill. Then February hits and it's still that cold and still that miserable and still that awful. It still gets to minus 40. And you're like, oh my God, take me now. Like, I'm done. And we still also have the memories of when we were young, where February and March began to warm up slightly. But now February is just a deep winter month, which leaves March as the heartbreaker, because March is a month where you remember being a kid and March being slightly nicer, like the beginnings of spring. Now March is a winter month. It's less hard than February and January are, but it's still a winter month here. Still lots of snow, still, you know, very cold. And then April is like the Skamaz month, where it's like it could be nice. You could have your last deep freeze in April at any point in time. You know, April 4th, deep freeze down to like minus 20. Could be the last one of the year. Who knows? You might be lucky. Usually isn't. And then by May, it's frustrating, but it's kind of silly because you're like, why is it still snowing? It's May. And then by June, it's usually good. So that's our seasonal cycle here in the Canadian Rockies. So yeah, the hangover from New Year's. Exactly, Steve. So like February, I feel like is the heartbreaker month. That's when I would need to go and not be here for a little bit. That's where I'll take my yearly trip then to go see Ella's family in the US or some shit. I don't know, man. I do find though that whenever I go down to see your family though, whenever we do get the chance to go see your family in Hawaii, I do come back like really reinvigorated. I've done like my best, like had my best bouts of work, I think, for the most part, when I come back from being somewhere in nature, you know, very inspiring nature. It's like necessary as an artist to travel. It's weird because that used to be a pretty like commonly well accepted idea that as an artist, if you wanted to be a good artist, you had to be well traveled. That if you didn't see the world for your own eyes, you couldn't capture it. And if you wanted to be a concept artist and create new worlds, you needed to see as much of the world as you could. Now we have this idea that like travel is like, you know, fair enough, and I'm not saying this isn't true, but travel is like only for the rich and the wealthy and the powerful. It kind of still is, but I think you can get away once in a while. You know, travel doesn't need to be expensive. Like Elle and I were not by any means well off when we were in our 20s. We just sacrificed a lot to go on trips, right? Like our friends would be like, "Oh wow, you're going to Japan again. Must be so nice to be like, you know, doing so well." I'm like, bro, you spend $100 a week going out for dinner with your fucking fiance or whatever, and then how much on like liquor and shit? Like I buy video games once in a while and then save all my money just so I can go to Japan and be a weeb. So there's about priorities, but there's this idea that artists like should travel, you know, and I still think it's true. I think well-traveled artists are much better artists than like versions of themselves than the non-well-traveled version of themselves. But I don't know, it just kind of became this like thing that you can't mention, you can't talk about anymore. You can't encourage people to go see the world. Everybody's like trying so hard just to get by and pay for fucking groceries and shit. And rent costs like, you know, half your paycheck. When are you going to find time for a fucking plane ticket? Like, get bent. Well, I get it, but doesn't mean, even if it's harder to do, it doesn't mean it's not still just as valuable. Just sucks you can't do it as often, you know, but I always missed that when I got back into like when I went on my own, started doing this like Twitch thing and building Eldar and stuff. Haven't been on a single like real trip or vacation or anything like that to somewhere like, you know, been to see Ella's family. That's great. It's always great. But it's not really like a, you know, not the same thing as going somewhere like carefree to experience a culture or whatever. That comes with like family tasks and stuff and whatnot, and it's a very fun, fulfilling, but still kind of exhausting trip, hey? Depending on the kind of family you have, I guess. Ella's family is very much a go do stuff. We're all in the same city together. We're all gonna go out and do things every single day. Go, which is awesome. It was fun. I wouldn't change that, but it is just like different than just like going somewhere and spending some time in a, you know, a cafe or whatever, just drawing what you see on the street. Going out for a hike and sitting in nature, painting the landscape on a little, you know, watercolor paint set or whatever. Not quite the same, eh? Alright. I think our consortium boy is only getting that much treatment today. Did some cool concept work though. So yeah, I got a meeting, man. I got to put my tracksuit on and my tie. Can I wear a tracksuit and a tie? Is this a good look? Hold on. Where's my outro? Tracksuit and tie. Let's see. Oh man, if I wear a tracksuit and a tie, am I gonna look like a college football coach? Yo, that's a good look though, hey? That's a good look. Yeah, Azalea, I got a meeting. I got a very important meeting for a very important project coming up here. a very important. I have two really big things going on right now. That one of them should be done in the end of January, and the other should be starting in around then. So like February, March. Very exciting shit that I can't talk about yet. But as soon as I can, I will be complaining about and bragging about simultaneously. And it'll be awesome. So cool, man. See you guys tomorrow. What is it? Thursday? It is Thursday. So I think for Fan Art Friday, we might finish our Cadigan piece. We might start our new Critical Role piece. I don't know. It'll be good. Either way, hope you guys had fun today. Hope you have whatever you're doing this morning. Hope it is easy and chill this afternoon, rolling into an evening of snackies and D&D. Remember, if you're not playing D&D tonight, I'm going to be mad. I'm going to be very upset if I find out that you guys aren't playing D&D tonight. So go on an adventure. Y'all deserve it. Anyway, I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for chilling. Appreciate it. Until next time, my friends. Farewell.